Are you tired of manually deploying code or fixing bugs in your projects? In this video, we're going to learn how to streamline and automate the deployment process by setting up a CI/CD pipeline using GitHub Actions. In the ever-evolving landscape of software development, continuous integration and continuous delivery pipelines serve as the backbone for efficient and reliable delivery for software products. This approach allows your team to validate changes with minimal risk and ensure smooth rollout of production. Additionally, we're going to be running unit and integration tests to catch bugs and errors before they reach in production. By using a popular software methodology, test-driven design, we're going to be using Laravel 11 for the backend and Vue 3 to develop the frontend. We will build, test, and deploy our backend to DigitalOcean using best practice, and we're going to be using some cutting-edge technology. We will set up a GitHub workflows for automating linting or static code analysis. We're going to automate testing, building, and deployment process. We're going to package our app into a Docker container and scale it horizontally using Docker Swarm, which is a container orchestrator. Alternative Kubernetes. We will use Stripe for handling payments and subscriptions, Google as a identity provider, and Laravel Passport for issuing access and refresh token. For the front end, we're going to learn how to create testable Vue components, and then we're going to learn how to convert our app to progressive web app for speed and accessibility directly from the browser. And finally, we will deploy it to render using GitHub Actions. Alright guys, now we're gonna get a quick demo of the app that we're gonna build. Here I'm gonna start presenting you the backend. You can see that actually we got a workflows folder, and within the workflows folder we got three types of workflow. We got the CI link, the YAML, which is a workflow that we're gonna be using in order to run static code analysis using Laravel pins. We got a CI test, the YAML, which is a workflow that we're gonna be using in order to automate the test. We're going to be using in order to test each endpoint if it's working pretty well. But also we got another workflow, which is the main.yaml file. And this workflow, the job is to call out a workflow. We're going to first run static code analysis, then we're going to run the test. And if the test passes, we are going to build and deploy our app to DigitalOcean. But also we are going to, once we finish building our API, we're going to be using Docker in order to containerize our app. On DigitalOcean, our app is going to run inside a Docker container. I'm going to get into within GitHub Actions. You can see right here, our app is right here, Budget App Backend. And we have three types of workflow. We're going to run first the static code analysis, then the test, and then we're going to deploy it. And also, if I get into my command prompt and if I type php artisan test, you can see that all our endpoints are tested using PHP units. We are not going to use Postman. We are going to automate everything. Also, guys, we're going to take a look to our Vue app. Our Vue app has two workflows. You can see we got a workflow that we're going to be using in order to run the test. And then the second workflow is deploy to render host. If the test passes, they're going to deploy our app to render. And you can see that actually our app is converted into a PWA. I'm going to click right here, and then it is going to open. And then I can sign up or log in with Google. We're going to be using Google as a identity provider. I'm going to click sign up or log in with Google, and then we are going to request the access and refresh token using Laravel passports. You can see that actually I'm on the dashboard page, and the customer can decide to create an income or an expense. I can pass even here salary and the amount 200, and then I'm going to click create. And also I can pass here, I can create here an expense. I'm passing foods, and then I'm passing $20, and then I'm select right here expense. And then I'm going to click create. The customer can view a list of incomes and a list of expenses. The customer can decide to delete an expense or an income. And here, guys, you can see that actually when the customer has created an account within our app, we give him 31 days is 12 days. And the customer can decide to pick to extend his period of accessibility within our app. You can pick right here even price. You can see we propose him three types of price: basic, pro, and lifetime. The customer can even pick the pro price. I'm gonna click get started, and then they're gonna redirect us on the checkout form in order to make the payments. And then here the checkout form is loading. And then here I'm gonna say pay with link, and here I'm gonna pass you the car information, and then I'm passing even 20, I'm passing you 02, and then I'm passing you 28. 28 is the year, and the car verification number I'm passing you 123, and then I'm passing you my name, and then the country. I'm gonna click subscribe in order to make the payments. And then here we're gonna make the payments, and then once the payment finished, they're gonna redirect us on the payment succeed page. And then you can see right now we're on the payment succeed page. And if we get into payments, you're gonna see right here we got a payment. Yeah, the customer has paid, has choose a price which is pro. The amount is 100, the currency USD, payment terms year, but also the starting date and the ending date. And if I click log out, you're gonna see right here the left days is gonna change. And then I'm gonna click sign up or log in with Google. They're gonna redirect us on the dashboard. And then you can see that actually we got right here the left days has changed. We got right now we got 3096 days. And guys, all our components are testable. I'm gonna get into within our view app, and then I'm gonna show you something. Let's say you was working and then you made a typo. You remove this. It was expense like this, and then you remove even a knee. This is a typo. And then you try to make a push to your repository. I'm tap here git add, and then git commit. Say maybe you was working on a feature, add new feature. Let's say this is a new commit, and then you're gonna tap git push. And then once you made a git push, the workflow is gonna fail because you introduce a bug. And then I'm gonna get into within GitHub Actions. You're gonna see right here. This is the GitHub Actions of our View app. You can see Budgie app. And then here you can see add new feature. And then I'm gonna click on it. And then you can see that actually the workflow is running. They're running the tests. And if the test pass, they're gonna trigger a deployment on Render because actually our app is hosted on Render. And then you're gonna see if the test is gonna pass. If this workflow pass, they're going to deploy a bug within the production. And this won't happen since we write the test. We're gonna wait a bit, guys, in order the workflow finish running. Guys, you can see that actually the workflow fails run the test because we made a typo within our app. You can see if I try to tap even here, I'm tap here npm run test unit, and then you're gonna see the test is gonna fail. Here right now we got a failing test, and then here if I get into within our menu.ts and I put back the e, the test gonna pass. You're gonna see they're gonna rerun the test. And then guys, you can see that actually our test passed. And if we made a git push again, our workflow is gonna pass because the test passed. Alright guys, now we're gonna be talking about some prerequisites you need in order to be comfortable throughout the video. You need basics of Laravel, Vue, TypeScript, Docker, GitHub Actions, and Docker Compose. You need only basic, guys, and to follow along the video. And if you don't know Vue, go check it out my Vue course. If you don't know TypeScript, go check it out to my TypeScript course. And guys, how to follow the course, you're gonna start with the first part, then you're gonna move to the second one, then to the third one. I recommend to follow this step, guys, in order to understand how things work. If you don't follow the step, maybe you're gonna get errors. Alright guys, now let's go ahead and install a brand new Laravel 11 project. We are going to make sure first we got a PHP version of 8.2. After that, you have to make sure you got also Laravel installer on your computer, because we are going to use a command that is provided by Laravel installer, Laravel new, and then we are going to type inner in order to provide the name of our project. You can see what is the name of your project. We're going to type here app name. This is the name of our project. And then for the starter kit, we are going to pass here none. And for the PHP testing framework, we are going to select PHP unit and then tap enter. And then you're going to continue other step, guys. Once you finish installing a fresh Laravel project, you're going to install also Laravel Sanctum by typing PHP artisan install API, because once you just finish installing a brand new Laravel project, you're going to see within the root folder, you doesn't got the API.php file. That's why you need to type this command in order to get it. PHP artisan install, and then you're going to type inner. This command, it allows to install a Laravel sanctum, but also it allows to set up the API.php file. So what is software testing? Software testing is a process of evaluating and verifying that a software or application does what it's supposed to do. The benefit of good testing includes preventing bugs and improved performance. There are many types of software testing: performance testing, unit testing, integration, regression, etc. In this video, we're going to cover two types of testing: unit testing and integration testing. Unit testing focuses on testing unit parts of your application or components, whereas integration testing allows to test how different units or components of your app interact together. Assuming you want to assemble bicycle parts to a fully functional one, to do so you need to test all components one by one, and that's what we call unit testing. Whereas for the integration test, we are going to test all components at once. Let's say you need to create a user, you have to implement a register endpoint. The goal is to create a new user. Yeah, this is the endpoint that I have already created. Now you have some conditions that you have to follow. First of all, you need to validate user inputs. You have to hash the password, call a function, generate random code, but also you have to interact with the user model. Now, these conditions are units or components of the register function. Now, and that's what we call unit tests. Now, for the integration test, we test all these components, how they interact together. When we are going to hit our register endpoint, we are going to hit a function located within the user controller. You can see we got a function. Let me show you. Under the controllers folder, we got user and then user controller. And you can see we call a function which is located within the check user class. Validate, it allows to validate user inputs. And generate random code, it is a unit tool, but also function validate, it is a unit or component of the register function. Now let me get into the user model. You can see that we got our two constants, and then we got also the generate random function. All these are units or components of the register function. Now, guys, you understand, you know the difference between unit testing and integration testing. Now, let's go ahead and set up our testing environments. So, what is TDD? TDD stands for Test-Driven Design. It is a software development practice that focuses on creating tests first before developing the actual code. In TDD development, we write first test that is going to fail, and then we are going to make it pass later. Throughout this video, we are going to use this practice in order to develop quality software that we can ship in production without doubt. As we already covered what is TDD, unit testing, and integration testing, now we are going to set up our dev environments. If you see within your project folder, we got the test folder. We're going to put in all our tests. We got another folder, feature folder, is where we are going to put in all our integration testing. And within the units folder is where we are going to put in all our unit testing. Yeah, you can see this is the file. But also we are going to use an in-memory database for our integration testing. You can see we got within the database folder, we got the database that's SQLite. We are going to use it. And then in order to connect to this database, we are going to get into the php.unit.xml file. And then we are going to uncomment this line right here in order to use this database. We are going to use it for testing purpose. I'm not getting to my command prompts, and then I'm not creating tests. As I said, guys, we got within our test folder, we got feature tests and unit tests. In order to create unit tests, we type php artisan make test, and then I'm gonna say test2 -- unit. This is how we create the unit test. By typing this command, we're gonna have test2 within the unit test folder. You're gonna see it, we got it. If I get into the feature folder, we got an integration testing. Yeah, it's point to the get endpoint. I'm going to type php artisan make test integration. This test, it is going to be located within the feature folder. By default, when we type PHP artisan make test, and if it doesn't pass this flag, the unit flag, they're going to consider this test as an integration test. And then you're going to see within the feature folder, we got test integration. Yeah. And then we got the code test example. Now, guys, we are going to learn how to run our test. In order to run our test, we type PHP artisan test. This is how we run our test. And then it is going to run. You can see that example test pass, that true is true, and then all our tests are passing. Yeah. Now, guys, we are ready to get started developing our API. And we are not going to use Postman for testing all our endpoints, but we are going to rely on PHP unit. Now, let's take a look to our database in order to get started developing our API. Alright guys, this is our database structure, and you can see that it's composed by different tables. We got the users table, we have the name, email, but also we got the Google ID. But also within the users table, you can see we got the strap ID, PM type, PM last four, but also tries and sets. These columns, they are added by Laravel cache. When we're going to install this package, these columns are going to be added automatically along with subscriptions items and subscriptions table. These tables are going to be added when we are going to install Laravel cache. But also, guys, you can see right here we got the expense table where we are going to store in the expenses of a given user. You can see we got the name, amount, and the user ID. But also you can see we got another table right here, incomes, where we are going to store in incomes of a given user. And here you can see we got the user ID. When a given user is going to log in within the system, they're going to load his data. But also we got the pricing table where we are going to store in pricings of our app, basic, premium, and pro. And we got the name, Strap Price ID, Strap Pro ID, but also the price. And a given price can have features. You can see this is the features table. We got the price ID and the name. And also we got a payment table and the payment history table. This is our database. It is composed by 9 tables. Now it's time to get started developing our API, guys. Alright guys, now we're gonna get started developing our API using TDD, test-driven design. And before we get started, we're gonna set up first our database. I'm gonna get into within the env file. And here you can see the database that I pick is MySQL, and the database name is Money App. You can see Money App, and I'm not getting to the shell in order to create first this database. I'm going to type this command to get into to log in within MySQL, MySQL-u root-p, and then I'm going to create the database. Create database. I'm gonna pass here Money App, and then I'm type enter and get out of the shell. I'm going to get into the command prompt, and I'm going to create first the controller by typing PHP artisan controller, the folder where we're going to put our controller, and then I'm gonna say income controller. But also I need to create the migration, PHP artisan make model, and then we're going to generate the migration for this model. But also we're going to create this income model. And you can see for the income model, we got the amount, the name. For the name column, we're going to put in like salary, paycheck, and earnings, but also the user ID. And here, I'm going to create these columns. I'm going to do this. I'm going to pass here the string, and then we're going to pass here the name, the amount, and the user ID. We're going to say it's going to be an integer. And then I'm going to get into the command prompt and type PHP artisan migrate. Yeah, we just created all our tables. And then I'm going to create first a unit test for our model. I'm going to type PHP artisan income unit test like this, -- unit. But also I'm going to create the integration test. To create the integration test, we have to remove the -- unit flag. And then I'm going to type inner too. Here I'm going to pass here feature test and tap inner, and then it is going to be created within the feature folder. Now let's copy our unit test case within the income test, and I'm gonna copy this, and then we're going to get into the income unit test file, and we are going to pass this code right here, this test case right here. And what we're going to do, guys, you can see right here, we just import the PHP unit framework, and they just imported the test case. And we're going to comment this code, and I'm gonna get into the income feature test, and I'm going to copy this path. Let me tell you why I prefer this. This test case right here, you can see we do use test /test case. This line right here, it waits for a Laravel app to be bootstrapped, whereas the first one doesn't wait this process. And then here, guys, here you can see we got a test example that is being created by default when we create the income unit test. And you can see within it, we just call a function that is provided by test case class assert through. This function exports that we pass it through, because if we get into the command line here, guys, and I type PHP artisan test, and then you can see it pass unit test, example test, it is running pretty well. And then here, guys, you can see you get a function assert through. If we pass here false, our test it is going to fail, because the assert through function it expects us to pass it through. And then here, guys, I'm going to run again our test, and I'm going to try to run again PHP artisan test, and then you're going to see one test it is going to fail. Yeah, you can see we got a failed test, yeah, example. And I'm going to create another test right here, another function. It is going to check if two values are equal. And then here, guys, I'm going to declare one variable. I'm going to say var1 is equal to 1 and var2. Right here, I'm going to pass here 2. And I'm going to look for assert equals. And then we are going to check if the first variable is equal to the second variable. And then we're going to run our test. And I'm going to clear out the console and run again our test. And then here, you're going to see, yeah, you can see that this test fail is var equal, this test is failing. And then here to make it pass, I'm going to pass it 2, and again we're going to run our test, it is going to pass. And then you're going to see right here that our test pass is var equal, our test pass successfully. Now, guys, we're going to write tests for our unit test case. Now here, guys, I'm going to create the first function. I'm going to copy this. We're going to say throw error if user does not provide the name, the amount, and the user ID. I'm going to create a start function, and I'm going to get into the controllers folder. You can see we got the income folder, and within this folder, I'm going to create a function that is going to check the user inputs, and then we're going to name it check inputs.php, and then it is going to take the same namespace as our income controller. I'm going to copy this, and then I'm gonna pass it right here, and then I'm say class check inputs. And here we're going to have a public static function validate like this. It is going to take an array of fields like this. These are inputs. It is going to be an array, and then we're going to run tests against this function. We're going to check if the user inputs are valid, and then I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna copy this and import this class within the income unit test, and I'm gonna copy this path and get into the income unit test, and right here I'm going to import it. And then here, guys, we're going to call this function right here. We're going to do this. We're going to say errors, and then we're going to pass it first a named array. We're going to say that if the user doesn't provide the name, amount, and the user ID, they are going to throw an error. And here we are going to do this validate, and then we are going to create an array of errors, and then we're going to say validate, and then we are going to get access to an array of errors. We're going to pass here original. We are going to get access to an object, because the validate function, it is going to return an object which contains an array, and data are stored within the original object property. And here, what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to try to check. I'm going to assert this function. Yeah, like this, assert equals, and then I'm gonna pass here free, and then I'm going to count the number of errors. I'm gonna say count, and here I'm going to pass here our errors. You can see if the user doesn't provide the name, email, and the user ID, our array, it is going to return an array which contains free item. And then we're going to check if the amount is a number. I'm going to copy this again, guys, and then I'm going to assert if the amount is a number, is valid number, like this, guys. And then I'm going to pass here first the name, and pass here the name. You can say even salary, like this, and then I'm going to pass the amount. Right now I'm going to pass here even a string to check if the amount is a number. If the amount it is not a number, they're going to return an error. And then right here we're going to pass here the user ID, and then we are going to pass here even 1, and we're going to say assert equals, we're going to pass here 1, and then here we are going to pass here count 1. They're going to return an array which contains 1 error. Now we need to throw an error. We are going to create another test, and here, guys, I'm going to put in some codes, and here we're going to say test name is greater than 15 characters. And then here, guys, we are going to do this. We are going to use a function right here. I'm going to pass right now a valid number, and then here I'm going to use string repeats, and then we are going to repeat our string 20 times, and then we are going to see if you're going to get an error. And then you can see we got errors, and right now we are going to run our test. It is going to fail. This is TDD, guys. I'm going to type PHP artisan test, and then all our unit testing are going to fail. You can see they are failing. And before we add the logic within our validate function, our errors return an array which contain an errors property. And it is like this, guys. Let me show you. We got an array like this, and then we got errors, and then we have here an array which contain errors, like this. And then we're going to get access to this property. We're going to pass here errors, and then I'm going to copy this to add a test case, and here too. Now I'm gonna move within the check input, the PHP file, and then we're going to use the validator class. Use validator like this. I'm gonna get into the check user, the PHP file. I'm gonna grab this code. You're going to pass it right here. I'm gonna pass here the name. For the name, we're going to say it is going to be required, and max character is going to be 15, and we got also the amount. We're going to say it is going to be required, and the value should be a number, numeric, like this. But also we got the user ID, it is going to be required, and if the inputs are not valid, they're going to retain an array of errors. I'm gonna get into the command prompt, and then I'm gonna run PHP artisan test again and see if our tests are going to pass. And there we go. You can see that all our tests are passing. Should throw error. Now, guys, let's work on the integration test, and you can see we got 2 test cases. For the integration test, user should provide the name, amount, and user ID. But also, once the user provides these details, this data, they're going to return a response which contains the message said saved successfully, but also the status should be 201. Now I'm going to copy this test case, and then I'm gonna get into the integration test file right here. You can see feature folder, and then I'm gonna get into income feature test. And then here, guys, you're going to see we got this right here, this test example. I'm going to uncomment it, and then I'm going to say the name of the test, it is going to be should test. I'm gonna say test should create here income, like this. And then I'm gonna put in all our test case, and then we're going to send send an HTTP request to these endpoints. And here, guys, you can see Laravel provides us a Fluent API that allows us to make HTTP requests. If we need to send the post request, we're going to say post JSON like this. If we need to update data, we're going to say put JSON. If we need to get data from the server, we're going to say get JSON. And then right now we're going to use post JSON. We're going to say like this, post JSON. And then we're going to say API/incomes like this. And then we're going to say, we're going to assert the response. We're going to say assert created. And then if we put our cursor over the assert created function, you can see asserts that the response has 201 created status code. And also we should get this method saved successfully. We need to assert the JSON, and then we're going to say it again, response, and then assert JSON path like this, and then we're going to say that the message should be saved successfully. And that's all, guys, for these endpoints. Right now, if we run our test, it is going to fail. But also, guys, we need to use these traits, refresh database. I'm going to pass it right here. Here, use refresh database. This trait, it is going to reset our database every time we run our test. And then I'm gonna say refresh database. Let's add here a little comment, refresh database every time we run tests. Yeah, like this, we run tests. This is the usage of the refresh database trait. And then here, guys, I'm going to run again our test, and then it is going to fail. I'm going to get into the command prompt, and then I'm going to run php artisan test. And yeah, you can see it fails, should create income fail states. Now we need to make it pass. And I'm not getting to the API.php file. Let me zoom in a little bit, and then within the root folder we got API.php file. And here, guys, I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to import another controller right here. We're going to import the income controller, and then we're going to pass it right here, and then we're going to use the store function. I'm going to pass the store, and for the endpoint it is going to be incomes with an S. Now we're going to try to eat this endpoint, and then I'm going to get into the income controller and create this method. I'm going to say public like this, and then I'm going to say check inputs validate to get raw fields, and then we're going to pass this array to our validate function, and then we're going to check if errors. We're going to say errors. If we got errors, we are going to return errors. If the validation doesn't fail, we are going to call our model. You can see we got the IncomeModal. And here, guys, what I'm going to do, I'm gonna say right here first, protected field. We're going to say right here, gonna pass here the name, the amount, and the user ID. And then right here, I'm going to say use. We're going to get into the models folder, and then we're going to pass here. And then we're going to call the static create function. We need to pass it the name, and then we're going to do fields, and then we're going to get access to the property name like this, guys. And again, guys, I'm going to show you something that we forgot to add within our income feature test. You can see right here we got post JSON, but we forgot to pass it an array. You can see visit the given URI with a post request expecting a JSON response. We should pass it the URI but also the data. I'm going to pass here the name, and then I'm gonna say the income, I'm gonna say salary, and the amount we are going to pass here 23, but also the user ID we are going to pass here by default 1. And here, guys, you can see we are set created. We are waiting for a response that is going to return 201, but also the message should be saved successfully. Return response like this, return response, and then we're going to pass here the message, and then if you run our test, it is going to pass. I'm gonna get into the command prompt and run php artisan test, and all our tests are going to pass. Let's see. Yeah, you can see should create income. This test passed too, but also we just validate all our inputs. Alright, guys, now let's move to the update endpoints, and right here, guys, you can see for the updates endpoints we need to send the ID of the column that we need to update, the amount, the name, the user ID. But also for the response body, we are going to get a message like update successfully. We're gonna pass here message, and then updated successfully with a status of 200. We're gonna pass here 200. And for the test case, you can see that we got unit tests and integration tests. And for the unit test, we got two test cases. ID should be a number, but also the user should provide an amount. The amount should be a number, but also we are going to add throw error if user doesn't provide inputs. Yeah, like this. And also guys, I'm going to copy. I'm gonna start with the unit test, and then I'm gonna move to integration test. I'm gonna get into again within the income unit test. I'm gonna pass it right here. And these tests that we create first concern the creates endpoints. And we're going to say right here creates. Yeah, we're gonna pass here. I'm gonna say creates endpoints like this. These tests concern the create endpoints, and then I'm gonna pass it right here to underscore, and for the third one underscore test create endpoints name is greater than 15 characters. Now here we are going to copy to this one, and here you're going to see we're going to pass here, you're going to say update endpoints, and then we're going to say right here we're going to pass here updates. You're going to test update endpoint should throw error if user not provide inputs. And the inputs that the user have to provide, we need to pass the name. First of all, we need to pass the ID, name, amounts, and then right here we need to pass here the user ID. And then right now the errors array, it is going to contain 4 items, and right now we are going to pass here 4. And then we need to check this is done. Now we need to check if the ID is a number. We need to pass here this. We are going to, this one is done. We are going to check if the ID right here guys is a number. And I'm going to copy this right here. I'm going to copy this. If we provide the ID, which is a string, and then here I'm going to pass here updates endpoints, and then here guys we're going to say ID is a valid number. The ID should be a valid number, and then right here we are going to pass here the ID, and then we are going to pass here a string. We are going to expect an error, and then here we are going to say here everything it is going to be okay. So if we pass here string, we are going to get an array which contains 2 errors, and then right here I'm going to pass here 22, and then we're going to get an array which contains 1 item. ID is not a number, like this, and then this test is done. And also we're going to say right here the amount should be a number, and again I'm going to copy to this, and then I'm going to duplicate it right here. Amount, we're gonna pass here 2 amount, and right now we're going to pass here 12. The ID for it is going to be 12, and then here we are going to pass here amount. It is going to be a string. Yeah, if the user provide a string, we are going to get an error. Now guys, we need to change the validate function right here within the update endpoint test case. We are using the validate function for the create endpoints, but for the update endpoint we are going to use validate update function to check inputs of the update endpoints. And then I'm going to copy this function. I'm going to pass it here to the test case. ID is valid number, but also for the first updates test case endpoints. And then we are going to move to integration tests, and here you can see these are test cases that we got for the integration tests. And I'm going to get into the income feature test, and I'm gonna press it right there, and I'm going to copy this test, and then here guys we are going to pass here, we're going to say test should update income. And what are the process in order to update an income? We need to send the ID that we are going to send to the server, so that the server can recognize, can select a given row that we need to update. And what we are going to do, we are going to do this. Let me show you the step. These are steps that we're gonna follow. First, we're gonna say first, create record, create row, and then once we create a row, we are going to return ID, and then we're going to use this use ID to update this record. This is the process record. And then in order to make it clear, I'm going to add here something, a comment. I'm going to say this test, I'm going to say update, and for updaters depends on create test. Now here, what we are going to do, we are going to copy this first. We are going to say create income, create response, and then we are going to send first the salary, the amount, the user ID. And after that, guys, what we are going to do second is we are going to get the ID. We are going to say right here data, and then here we are going to assert the response. We're going to say assert JSON structure, and then here we are going to get the income. And if we get into the income controller, guys, you're going to see right here we just created a row, but we doesn't return the created row. And here we're going to say income, and then we're going to add it right here, and then we're going to say pass here income, and then we are going to return the income, the created row. And here, if I get into the income features, we are going to test it. We're going to say our JSON structure. We are going to get the income, and then right here we're going to pass here JSON, and here we are going to get the ID of the created row. And here I'm gonna pass it there, and then here I'm gonna say income, and then we're going to get access to the ID. And here, guys, what we are going to do next, we are going to send now another request to the server that's going to update this row. We're going to say right now we're going to say put JSON like this, and then here we are going to pass here the ID, and then here right now we are going to do this. We're going to pass here empty to see if we are going to get an error now, but we are going to add another test case right here. I'm going to say should provide ID, amount, name, user ID, and then here I'm going to say should throw, like this, should throw error if not provide ID, amount, name, and user ID. I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to pass it right here. And then right now we are going to send this request. Right now the ID and the name, it is empty. And then we are going to say this, we are going to assert the status. Here we are going to say this is going to be update response, and then we are going to copy this, and then we are going to say update response. We are going to assert status like this. We are going to say 422, this is unprocessable entity. And then here we are going to send another post request. Right here we are testing. Let me add a little comment, testing if we are going to get an error. And then here I'm gonna add here, I'm gonna say end. And here, guys, we're going to try it again. This one, it is going to be update response, so I'm gonna pass here _1. And here, guys, we are going to pass here the ID. Right here you can see that we just grab the ID. Let me do this. First of all, I'm going to copy this, and then here we are going to do this. We're going to pass it here, and we are going to await. We are going to test if we are going to get first an error from the server. If, and then here, guys, we are going to send this second request. We're going to first create a row, and then this they're going to return an ID, and we are going to use this ID to update the record. And here, guys, we are going to pick this ID, and then we are going to pass it right here to the update response one. And for the name, we're going to say salary. If we are going to give it a random name. Assert response one, we're going to say assert And then here we're going to assert the status to be 200. And then here we're going to assert also the JSON path for the message. We're going to say that the message should be saved update successfully. I'm gonna pass it right here. Updated successfully. Let me change updated successfully. And then here, guys, we need to move to another test case. You can see right here, should income less than 15 characters. And I think this is a unit test. I'm going to go within the income unit test, and you can see right here, we got a unit test for the create endpoint that is checking if the name is less than 15 characters. And I'm going to copy this, and I'm gonna paste it under the test update endpoint amount, and we are going to pass here. We're going to say here this test concerns the update endpoint, and then test update endpoint name is greater than 15 characters. And then here test update endpoint name is greater than 15 characters. They're going to throw an error right here. We need to pass here the ID. And then here you can see that we just repeat the salary 20 times. Now all our tests are going to fail. If I get into my command prompt and type PHP artisan test, you're gonna see that all our tests are going to fail. Now what I'm going to do is we are going to refactor. And I'm going to go ahead and get into the controllers folder. Right here you can see if you get into the check inputs, you're going to see we got a function validate. We are going to duplicate that, and we are going to add a field, which is the ID. But also we're going to change the name of the function. It is going to be update. And here we are going to add here the ID. We are going to say that the ID is going to be required, but also the ID must be a number. And again, we're going to go ahead and get into the API.php file, and we need to create an endpoint that is going to eat the updates function within the controller. We're going to pass here put for the endpoint. We're going to pass here put, and then here we are going to create another function which is going to update the income. And then here we are going to duplicate that, and we're going to pass here update. We're going to add here where clause, where ID, and the user ID. But also for the response, we are going to return a message updated successfully, and the status is going to be 200. I'm gonna pass 200, but also we are going to pass updated like this. I'm gonna get into the command prompt, guys, and we are going to make pass all these tests. We're going to check if they're going to pass. We're going to tap PHP artisan test again and tap enter, and boom, you can see that all our tests are passing. Alright guys, now we need to move to the get endpoint, and you can see that we are going to write only integration tests, and we got two test cases that we need to handle. Now we are going to copy these two test cases and get into the income feature test, and here we are going to create a test. I'm going to copy this one right here and duplicate it, and for the methods we are going to use right now get. It is going to be the HTTP verb. We're going to send get, and we are not going to send anything. And then here you can see we are going to get an array a JSON object which contain name, the ID, name, amount, and user ID. And here we need to assert the status first. We are going to say the status should be 200, and then here I'm going to grab the data and I'm going to do response and then JSON, and within the data variable that we just created, it is going to look like this. It is going to be a JSON object that contains an array, and we're gonna have the ID, the name, and the amount, right, and user ID. This is the structure. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab keys. I'm going to say, and then this function array keys returns keys of a given array, and then I'm going to get access to data and here to the first item right here, because the structure it is going to be the same. We need to check only the first item right here, and then we're going to pass the assets equals, and then we're going to say
it have these keys must be the same as this one. We're gonna pass here keys, the keys variable, and then we need to asset the ID, name, amount, but also the user ID, but also our get income test depends on create test. And what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to copy this test right here that allows to create an income. I'm going to pick this one right here. We're going to create first the income. Now, guys, first of all, we are going to create an income, and then we are going to get it. I do this why? Because we got a function right here. We got use refresh database. Every time we run this, we run a test. It refresh the database on each test that is going to, that we're gonna run. That's why we should pass here create, because if we doesn't pass here this create, we are going to get an error. Our test, it is going to fail. And then here, guys, what we are going to do, we are going to only to add here a little comment. We're gonna say depends on create test. And that's all, guys. Now we need to create the get endpoint. We're gonna go ahead and get into the API.php file income. The HTTP verb is going to be get, and then here we're going to say get incomes, and then we are going to get into the income controller and create a function. I'm gonna say public function, and then we're going to pass it the request class, and then we are going to select right here, we're going to select the ID, name, amount, and the user ID, and then we are going to use the get, and we are going to return a response which contain data, but also the status, it is going to be 200, and then our test, it is going to pass again. I'm gonna get into the command prompt and try to run our test again, and then PHP artisan test again and see if it is going to work. Now we need to wait a bit, and you can see that our test, it is failed. Our set status, you can see right here we have a type, our search status, we should pass T right here. I'm gonna go back within the income feature test, and right here you can see we pass here our search status, we doesn't pass the T, and that's why our test failed. And then I'm gonna run again PHP artisan test, and let us see if it is going to work. Yeah, all our tests are passing. Now we need to move to another endpoint, which is the delete endpoint, and you can see it is only integration tests, and we have 2 test cases that we need to handle. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy a test. This first one, test should create, and then here, guys, we need to change the name of the test. Should delete, delete income, and then we need to handle the first test case. And here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create first a record. We're going to create here an income, and then here we need to create delete response. I'm going to copy this, then say delete response, and then right now we are going to use the delete JSON function, and then we are going to send the ID. We're gonna pass here the ID, and then we're gonna try to pass first a string, and then we're going to export a status of 422 if everything pass, if everything it is working pretty well. Here we are going to create here, first of all, here right now we are checking if ID is valid number, and then here, guys, we are going to create a, we're gonna pass it create a record, and then we are going to retrieve the ID. You can see right here we got a response here, create response. We just created an income, and then we just return the ID. I'm gonna grab this and I'm gonna use it right here. I'm gonna get rid of that, and here as we just grab the ID, now we need, guys, now we need to delete. We need to send a valid ID. We're gonna say delete response 1. We are going to pass here this delete response, and then we're going to pass here the ID, and here you can see delete JSON, and then we're going to pass here this the ID, and then we're going to say it's going to be delete JSON 1. But also we're going to copy this message income deleted successfully, and we're going to pass it here to saved successfully. And this is a failing test. Now we're gonna get rid of this test case, and we need to create the delete endpoint. We're gonna go ahead and get into first the API.php file, and we are going to create a delete endpoint. For the method, it is going to be delete, and we are going to point to the destroy method within the controller. And then we're going to go ahead and get into the income controller, and we are going to create the method right here. We're going to say public function destroy, and then we need to create the validation. We are going to copy this, and then we are going to pass it here. And we are going to get into the check input.php file in order to define the validation for the destroy method. And for the function, we are going to say validate delete. This is going to be the method. And then we are going to get into the check input.php file, and then we're going to copy this and modify the name of the function. We're going to pass here the name. It is going to be delete, and we're going to validate one input. It is the ID, and that's all, guys. Now we need to add the query. We're going to do income, and then we're close ID, and then we're going to, and then we need to return a response which contain income deleted successfully, but also the status is going to be 200. Now here I'm gonna get into the income feature test, and this is the message that we need to return to our endpoint. I'm going to pass it within the income feature test. I'm going to pass it right here, and then we're going to run our test to see if it is going to pass. Now let's get into the command prompt, guys, and type php artisan test command, and then to see if all our tests are going to pass. And boom, you can see, guys, that the delete test worked successfully. Within the feature test, you can see should delete income pass. Now, guys, let's work on the expense model. And if you take a look to our database, you're going to see right here the income table has the ID, name, amount, and user ID. But also the expenses table has the same column. Now what we are going to do, we are going to copy all the test case for the income, and then we are going to make some change because they are going to be the same. But for the name, for the expenses, we can have food, electricity, transportation. They are going to be the same, guys. We are going to work on the create, at the same time, update, but also get and delete. Now, first of all, we need to create the test file. We're going to say php artisan make test. We're going to create first the unit test like this, and then we're going to tap enter. But also we need to create the integration test. We're going to pass here feature test, and then we're going to tap into. Now we need to duplicate things. You can see we got the expense feature. I'm going to get into the income feature test, and then I'm going to copy all things all the way to the end of the file, and we're going to paste it in with the expense feature, and then we're going to modify things right here, guys. You can see right now we got test should create income. We are going to pass here should, we are going to modify everything at the same time. I'm gonna select income, and then I'm going to pass here expense. But also for the endpoint, we are going to change the endpoint incomes to expenses, and then we're going to click on replace all. After that, for the message, for the name, we're going to pass here even food. It is going to be the new expense, and I'm going to get rid of this comment. Now for the message, we're going to say saved successfully when they're going to create a new income. For the test should update income, we're going to pass should update expense. I'm going to pass here right now expense, and then click replace all, and then we are going to check right here. You can see test should update expense. It is going to point to expenses endpoint for update, And also you can see we already changed our endpoint. You can see right here, we got right here expenses. When we can see right here, this test allows to update an expense. First of all, we create an expense. We try to check if they're going to return a status of 422, and then we're going to create an expense and grab the ID, and then we're going to use the ID in order to update a given expense. We're going to wait for the status of 200 and the message updated successfully. Now right here you can see public test should get expense, and here we're going to should get expenses. I'm gonna add an S, and here we are going to pass here even electricity, and then we are going to export the same input as for the IncomeModal. And we got also the delete endpoint. The name of the test is test should delete expense. Now we are done with integration test. Now we need to move within the unit test. I'm gonna get into again the income unit test, and I'm going to copy all the things that we got within it. I'm going to start at the bottom all the way to the end. I'm going to copy all of that and get into the expense unit test and try to pass it right here. And also you can see I'm going to copy also the check input function. You can see we got right here, we got the check input function. I'm going to copy it and pass it within the expense unit test. And we are going to comment this line right here, PHP unit. We are not going to use it. We said that in previous parts that we use this path. This line waits that a Laravel app to be bootstrapped in order to run all our tests. This is the benefit of using this path. I'm gonna get into the expense unit test again, and I'm going to pass it right here. Now we need to create a controller, and within the controller we are going to put in a function check input that is going to validate all our inputs. And I'm going to get into the command prompt php artisan make. I'm gonna pass here controller. We're going to put our controller within the expense folder, expense controller like this. But also we need to create in the input class, the check input class, where we are going to put in all our validation. We are going to pass here expense, and then we're going to go ahead and then we are going to create the check input class within the expense folder. Right here you can see we got expense folder, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to get into first the check input and then copy things. And right now I'm going to press it in. I'm going to create a file check input, and now right now we can even delete the logic for all our functions, and we're going to pull them back. And then if you try to run our test by typing php artisan test, and then you're going to see that all our tests are going to fail. Now we are going to go ahead. First of all, we need to define endpoints for our expense model. I'm going to get into the api.php file, and we're going to import. First we're going to pass here expense, and then we're going to import the expense controller like this. Now we are going to duplicate these lines right here, and then we are going to pass here. We're going to say this is going to be, we're going to pass here expenses, but also the delete endpoint. For the get endpoint right here, you can see get incomes. Right now we're going to pass here, it is going to be get expenses. And we're going to move within the income controller, and we're going to grab something within the controller, all these functions, and we are going to get into the expense controller and use that. I'm going to paste it right here and again within the income controller, and then I'm going to copy these two lines and I'm going to use it within the expense controller, and then I'm going to modify things. For the validation class, we are going to use the check input expense located within the expense folder. For the model, I'm going to get into the models. You can see right now we got only one model, income. We need to create another model. I'm going to go again within my command prompt and type php artisan make expense model. We're gonna say model, and we're going to see we got the expense model. I'm gonna copy the protected fillable attributes, and then I'm going to use it And within the database folder, you're going to see that we got a new migration. We're going to modify things. I'm going to copy the columns for the incomes table, and I'm going to pass these columns to the expense table. And everything is clear, and we are going to tap PHP address and migrate. Now we need to modify things within the controller, the expense controller. And here, guys, we are going to change the name of the function. You can see right here, we just imported income. We are going to change everything at a time. We are going to pass here expense model and click replace all. Yeah, we're going to pass here get expenses. And I'm going to get into the API.php file. And right here, you can see we pass get expenses. We are going to pass here expense controller like this. Now we need to go back within the expense controller, guys. For the store function, we are not going to change anything here, guys. We just do the validation and we just create a new expense, and we are returning the created expense. This is now we need to move to the update. For the update validation first, and then we just updated a given row, given expense. Now for the status, we return a 200 and updated successfully is the message. For the destroy function, we just do the validation, and then we just deleted a given expense, and we just return the message expense deleted successfully. And I'm not getting to within the feature test and try to check if we are returning this message. You can see right here we are set experience deleted successfully. We need to pass here the E in apertures like this, and the test is going to pass. Now we need to update also the validation. I'm going to copy the logic within the income folder check inputs. And because the logic it is the same, I'm going to copy all the way at the top and get into the check input, that PHP file, and paste. And then, yeah, everything it is okay. Now let's try to run all our tests and see if they're going to pass. We're going to tap PHP artisan test and tap enter. And then we're going to check, yeah, all our tests are running. Yeah, they pass all. You can see expense unit test pass, income unit test pass, but also for the expense feature test and income feature test. Alright guys, now we need to set up our authentication system. We are going to use Google for the sign-in and login endpoints. Now, first of all, we need to install Laravel Socialite. Go at laravel.com and type within the search bar Laravel Socialite. Once done, you need to type this command in order to put it within your application by typing composer require Laravel /socialite. Once done, you need to get into within your env file, and then we are going to create Google some variables. You can see we got Google Client ID, but also you're going to create Google Client secret and Google Client callback URL. Now we need to pass here. We need to assign to Google Client ID an ID that is going to be provided by Google so that we can use Google Auth, but also the Google Client secret ID. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to type Google Auth, and then you're going to see this URL, this link using OAuth to access Google API. You're going to click on it and scroll down a little bit. You're going to see this section right here, visit the Google API console. You're going to click on it, and once done guys, you're going to see this button right here. You're going to click on it, and then you're going to click on new projects. Once you click on new projects, they're going to present you this page where you're going to provide the name of your application. You're going to pass here Money App. This is the name of our app, and then click create. You can see right here I got a list of projects that I've already created, and then we are going to select Money App. Select it. This is the name of our project. Now guys, you're going to move to the credentials menu, and then you're going to see this button configure consent screen. You're going to click on it. You're going to select external, and then you're going to click create. Here you need to provide app information. You're going to pass here even Money App, and then for the user support you're going to select your email address. I select mine, app domain, application homepage. Yeah, we are going to put our Laravel base URL. We need to add authorized domains. We are going to let it like this right now because we are going to do it for testing purpose. Now, developer contact information. I'm going to put my email address, click on save and continue. The scope is the user data that we want to get access to. Now we are going to click add or remove scope. These are two info that we need to get access to. And then you're going to click on save and continue. Here you have the possibility to only to attribute 100 users that can test your app during development. And then I'm going to add only one user. And you need to provide the email. Here I'm gonna pass excelnook@gmail.com. This is the email that I'm going to use for testing purpose. And I'm going to click add and then save and continue. And then here guys, we need to move to the page credential. We need to get the Google Client ID and the Google Client Secret ID. You're going to click on Create Credential button, and then you're going to select All of Client ID. Now we are going to select Web Application for our scenario. And authorized JavaScript origin, we are going to put the localhost. Authorized redirect URLs, we are going to provide the URL that we are going to be redirected to in order to log in. Once done, we are going to click on create, and then I'm going to copy first this one and then move within my text editor. You're going to pass right here your client ID. This is mine guys, but also the Google Client Secret ID. Now here guys, we need to take another code right here. You can see we have to add this code within our service, within config folder /services file. I'm going to copy this code and move within the service.php file within the config folder. And then we're going to pass here this code. Now here, the drive that we are using is Google. And here I'm going to move within the env file and I'm going to copy this code and pass it right here. Now here guys, I'm going to copy here. You can see Google Client ID. I'm going to replace it with GitHub Client Secrets. You can see for the redirect URI, we are going to pass here the name of the variable, which is Google Client callback. And then I'm going to delete that. Now, once done, we need to set up also other things. You can see for the routing, we are going to copy this. This one, it is going to allow us to be redirected to Google. And this one, it is going to allow us to get data from Google. Now I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to create a controller. I'm going to type php artisan make controller off /off controller. And then here I'm going to press this code. Now we need to import the socialite class. You're going to redirect to Google. We're going to pass here Google. And now here I'm going to create a function. We'll say public function redirect to Google. And then here we're going to cut this line and pass it right here. And we are going to move this layer within the web.php file. And then we got another code that is going to allow us to create a user. So I'm going to copy this and move within the off controller. And right here I'm going to create another function, public function, create user via Google. And then here we are going to pass it this code. Now we are going to change here Google. And then here you want to say Google user like this. We are going to replace with GitHub variables. And for the token, we are not going to use the token. And I'm going to remove other properties. And then here guys, you can see right here, we are going to have a column within our database, within the users table, say Google ID. And then I'm going to go ahead within the database folder guys. We are going to add this column. Right now we are going to add another column, which is going to be the Google ID, but also the row. Right here we're going to pass here Google ID, and also we need to pass here the row. We are going to say it is going to be the customer that is going to create an account. For the password, it is going to be nullable. And then I'm going to move within the user model. And then for the protected fillable attributes, we are going to pass here the name, Google ID like this, but also the row. And then here guys, I'm going to go back again within the off controller. And here I'm going to provide here email Now here the Google ID, and then here I'm going to pass here the ID, and also the row, it is going to be customer. I'm going to create a constant within the user model. I'm going to get rid of this because we are not going to use them, and we're going to pass here, we're going to say customer row, and then is equal to customer. But also we're going to have another row, we are going to say admin row, and then here we're going to pass here is equal to admin. And I'm going to move ahead within the auth controller, and then we're going to assign the row property, and that's it, guys. And then right here we need to import the auth facade. We are going to use it by doing use auth, and then we are going to redirect to the dashboard. Now here we are going to copy these two URL. I'm going to move within the web.php file, and then right here we are going to import the auth controller. I'm gonna move within the API, and then I'm going to grab this path, and I'm going to pass here we're gonna pass here auth, and then here auth controller, and then we are going to hit the redirect to Google function located within the auth controller. We're going to pass here, and then we are going to hit this function, but also we need to pass also the auth callback URL in order to create a user. I'm going to pass it right here, and then here, guys, we need also to hit this function. You can see we got a function create user via Google. I'm gonna copy it and paste it right here, and now we need to test. First of all, we need to run our server by tapping php artisan serve, and then here, guys, we are going to tap this. We are going to tap auth redirect, and then you're going to see right here, choose an account and continue to money app. I'm going to select my account, and then I'm gonna click again continue, and then here you can see that we got an error. Now we are going to import that class. We're gonna pass it right here, and then we are going to try it again. We're going to pass the localhost port 8000, and then we're going to do auth redirect again, and we're going to tap enter and see if we are going to create a user. And then here you can see they redirect us on the dashboard, and if we take a look within the users table, you're going to see right here that we just created a user. You can see the email, but also we got the Google ID, but also the row is customer. Now, guys, we need to refactor this code and write tests so that if we do a mess within our code, we can catch errors easily. Alright, guys, now we are going to refactor the create user via Google function. We are going to move this query right here within the user model. But also we are going to write tests for the redirect to Google. We have to make sure if this function it actually redirect to Google. And if we move within the web.php file, you're going to see we got two endpoints of /redirect. We are going to mark this endpoint. We are going to test this endpoint, but also this one we are not going to test it because it is handled by Google. Now here I'm going to move within the auth controller, and I'm going to move this query within the user model, and here I'm going to create a function. I'm going to say public static function creates user, and then here, guys, we are going to return the created user. We're going to pass here return statement, and also we are going to pass the Google user to the create user function, and we are going to add a little comment. We are going to say that the parameter, it is an object. Let's pass here, let's say param is an object. Yeah, and then we are going to pass here the Google user like this, and after that we are going to move within the auth controller, and then we are going to use the user model in order to call this function, and then we are going to pass it the Google user variable. Now we need to create tests for we need to test this function that we got within the user model. I'm going to go ahead and get into the command prompt, guys, and then we're going to write php artisan make test, and then here we are going to test. We're going to create a test, an integration test, which is of feature test. We're going to add their test like this, and then we're going to tap enter. After that, guys, We are going to move within the auth feature test, within the test folder, and you can see right now we got auth feature test. First of all, we need to use the use refresh database thread to reset our database on every test that is going to run. And here, guys, I'm gonna import also the user model. I'm going to pass it right here, and here we are going to get access to the function. I'm gonna pass here user, and here we are going to do user model, and then we're going to create a new user. We're going to do create user function located within the user model, and we are going to pass it an object. And first of all, I'm going to do this. I have already created a class fake user. I'm gonna pass it right here, fake user. You can see it takes the ID, the name, and the email, but also the role. Now we are going to do this. We are going to pass it. You're going to say new fake user, and then we're gonna pass it fake ID, name Ben, but also the email. We're gonna pass here ben@gmail.com, but also we're going to pass it the role. We're gonna pass here admin, and we are going to assert equals. I'm going to remove that, and then I'm going to do this. First of all, we need to pass the user here. We are going to pass this class. Now say we just pass the user object to the create user function, and then here we're going to say created user, and then we are going to assert equals. We are going to call the function this, and then we're going to assert. I'm going to call the function this, and then we are going to call the function assert equals, and then we are going to pass here the created user must be equal to the user, to the fake user class. I'm gonna pass here fake user, and then we just pass our fake user to the create user function, and the created user must be equal to the fake user. Now we need to change the name of our test. We are going to say create user, and then here if we get into the user model, you're going to see right here we got two functions. We got two constants, customer row, but also the admin row. We are going to write a unit test for that. If we try to modify something here, we are going to get errors. We need to validate that the customer row is equal to customer and admin row is equal to admin. Now I'm going to get into the command prompt and create another test. It is going to be the unit test, and then here I'm going to say of unit test -- unit, and then we are going to assert these constants, and then we just created, and I'm going to get into, and we are going to remove that, and we are going to use the test case, this path. Yeah, so that's we are going to wait our Laravel app to be bootstrapped in order to run our test, and we are going to pass it within the of unit test. And here we need also to import the user model. I'm gonna get into the feature test and grab the user model right here, and also I'm going to pass it here. Now we are going to say assert test. We're going to check if we're going to say test should be customer, but also I'm going to copy this and say should be admin, and here should be admin right here. I'm going to go ahead and get into the user model, and I'm going to copy these two constants that we are going to assert, and here I'm going to go back within our of unit test, and here we are going to pass it right here. We are going to do we are going to pass here first the customer model, yeah, and then we're going to do user, and then we're going to pass here should be customer. Yeah, the customer row should be customer, but also for the admin we are going to assert here is assert. Now pass here assert equals, and then here too we are going to assert if the admin row is equal to the admin. We're going to pass here admin row, and then we're going to pass here admin, Now we are done. Now we need to test, we need to run our test and see if everything is going to work. Now I'm gonna go ahead and get into the command prompt and type php artisan test. Now guys, you can see that we got one failing test and it returns a huge object. And now let's try to debug this test and see what the create user variable is returning. You're going to use DDD and then you're going to pass the create user and then you're going to say to JSON. You're going to convert it to JSON first and see what we are going to get. And then here guys, I'm going to run the test again and see what we get in console. And then you're going to see right now we are getting an object, and let me zoom a little bit. We are getting an object right here guys, and it returns, this is the data that we get back from our created user. We just convert it to JSON, and you can see we got the Google ID, the name, then the email. Now we are going to do this. Instead of passing here created user, we are going to use the fake user class, and then we are going to pass it right here, fake user class, and we are going to use the created user. Right now I'm going to say here data, and then as we are getting back JSON, we're going to do data.google ID. We're going to pass here the Google ID, Google ID, and then we are going to get access to, we're going to pass here the name. We're going to say data.name. Now I think we are done. Now we need to run our test again and see if it is going to work. And I'm going to get rid of all of this first, and then we are going to get into the command prompt and see if our test it is going to work pretty well. Now we are going to run it again. We're going to type php artisan test again and see if it is going to work. And guys, you can see that we got here, you can see attempt to read properly Google ID on string. Now here we are going to do this as it is a string. Let me first debug again and see what we are going to get. I'm gonna pass here tdd.data, and then let me run the test again and see what we are going to get. php artisan test again. Yeah, you can see that we got Google ID. Yeah, it is a string. This is a string guys. Yeah, we are returning a string, and then we are going to convert it. We're going to say to JSON, and then we're going to call another function to array, and then let's see what we get. I'm gonna run again our test so that we can get rid of the error. Yeah, you can see right now we are getting an array, and right now we are able to get access to the Google ID. Now we are going to do this. We are going to get access to, we're going to do this, and then let's try to see what we get. We're going to run our test again to see if we are going to get one. Yeah, right now we are getting one right here. You can see. Now I'm going to go back and uncomment this line, and then we are going to do this. We are going to pass here the Google ID, here the name, and our test it is going to pass. Now you can see I'm going to run again. Now we are going to run our test again, php artisan test again, and then we're going to see if it is going to pass. And again, you can see that our test failed again because of the row here. We should pass, we are getting admin back. Now what I'm going to do, because if you get into the user model, you're going to see we just pass here the user customer row, and then I'm going to use it within our all feature test. We are going to pass here, instead of admin, we should pass here this user customer row, and then all our tests it is going to pass. Now I'm type php artisan test again and see if it is going to work. Yeah, right now all our tests are passing guys. Now and you can, all right guys, now we need to test this endpoint or /redirect.
we need to check if the redirect to Google function really redirect to Google. That's what we need to do. And for that, we're going to mark this object because we are going to add a fake implementation of the socialite package. We are going to check if really the driver is Google and if it redirects to Google. That's what we are going to do. Now, guys, I'm going to get into the test folder. You can see right here we got off feature test, and then I'm going to copy this, and then we are going to say check redirect to Google. And then here, guys, we need to import the socialite package because we need to mark it. I'm going to copy this line and to move it within the off feature test. We're going to pass it here. And then we're going to mark the socialite package. We're going to pass here first the response in order to hit the endpoint. We're going to do this get, and then we're going / off, and then redirect. We're going to pass here redirect, and then we are going to pass here the socialite package, and then we are going to call a function should receive, and then it should receive the driver. The name of the driver is Google, and with redirect we're gonna pass here with, and then we are going to check if our the redirect to Google, and then I'm going to copy the domain of Google and try to see if the function really redirect to Google. I'm going to pass it there, and then we are going to try to run out this test to see if it is going to work. We're going to type php artisan test again and see if the test it is going to pass. And yeah, you can see that our test failed. Should redirect to Google. It is a failed test, and here you can see the redirect location is account.google.com. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to say that here the redirect here, the RSS redirect should contains accounts.google.com, and then we are going to run our test again, and we're going to do php artisan test and try to see if it is going to pass. Yeah, the test it is passing. Now here, guys, we need to set up Stripe within our app for payments. Now, first of all, we need to install Laravel Cache. Go at laravel.com website and tap Laravel Cache. And then here, guys, you're going to copy this command. This is the first command. Composer require Laravel /cache. And then you're going to publish the migration. You're going to tap php artisan migrate. This command it is going to migrate all your database. And then let me show you something, guys. You're going to see that the table user it is going to be modified. The users table it is going to have a column Stripe ID, PM type, PM last 4. These columns are created when you just run the migration and you already install Laravel Cache. After that, we are going to add B-label model. We are going to add this class B-label within our user model, and then we are going to copy this line, and then we are going to paste it within the user model, and then we are going to use the B-label trait. We're going to pass it there. Now for the next configuration, guys, we are going to add cache within our service provider. I'm going to copy these two lines and go within the app service provider, and we're going to get in and add these two lines right here. User model, yeah, we're going to pass here the user model, but also we are going to copy the cache facade, and then we are going to invoke the use customer model. And again, guys, for API keys, we are going to copy this, and I'm going to move within my env file, and right here we are going to paste the Stripe key, Stripe secret, but also the Stripe webhook secret. I'm going to show you how you're going to get all these keys. Now we are going to go ahead and go at stripe.com website, and then we are going to create an account. And then once you're there, you have to click on sign in if you doesn't have an account, and then you're going to log in. Once log in, I've already created an account. I'm going to provide my credential and click on sign in. Once you saw the dashboard, guys, you're going to click on developers. Once you click on developers, you're going to see here there's a menu right here.
there's overview, API keys, and then you're going to click in. And then you're going to see your publishable key and secret key. You're going to copy your publishable key, and then you're going to pass it to the strap key. But also we got another key, which is the secret key. You're going to copy your secret key, guys, and then you're going to pass it here to the strap secret. Now we need to add the strap webhook secret key. You're going to get into your dashboard, and within you're going to see a menu which is close to the API keys, webhooks, and then you're going to scroll down and click on the button test in local environment. You're going to click on it. Once you're on this page, you're going to click on download the CLI. Once you click on it, they're going to redirect you on this page. And then you're going to pick a strap CLI related to based on your computer. Now, for Mac OS, you're going to follow the step. For Linux, and I'm using Windows. Now, guys, we are going to download the latest Windows zip file from GitHub. We are going to click, and you can see the zip file that we are going to download. And we are going to click on GitHub, and then we're going to move to this page. And we are going to download this version right here. This is the latest version. And then you're going to add strap. Because it is an executable file, let me show you something, guys. Here you can see that I get a folder right here, strap, and then I'm going to click in it. You can see that I get an executable file of the strap CLI. You're going to install it. Once you install it, you need to add this path within your Windows environment variable. And then in order to do so, you're going to do this, right click, and then you're going to click on show more properties. You're going to click on properties, and then you're going to click on advanced system settings, and then you're going to see environment variables, and then you're going to choose path. You're going to double click on it, and then here you're going to choose system variables, and then you're going to scroll down and look for path. You're going to click on it, and then you're going to add the strap path here. You can see this is my path, is located within the disk C, and then you're going to tap strap login. I'm gonna get into my command prompt, and then you're going to follow the step in order to log in. And then they're going to tell you to click on this URL, and then they're going to provide you a code that you're going to enter within your command prompt in order to get access. Once done, guys, we are going to listen to strap events. You can see right here, forwards event to your webhook. We need to listen for strap events. Now, in order to listen to strap event, we are going to copy this command right here. I'm going to copy it and get into my Sublime text. You can see right here, you're going to change. You can see right here the pass localhost 4242. You're going to pass the base URL of your Laravel project, and then we are going to remove that, and then we are going to copy this line right here, and then you're going to paste it in within your command prompt. Once you tap it, we are ready, and you can see right now we are listening to strap events, but also they generate our webhook key, and then we can copy this key right here and get into our env file, and right here we're going to pass our webhook secret key right here. Before we deep dive, we are going to learn how the checkout process works. Here you can see we get a pricing model with 3 price: basic, pro, and lifetime. Each price is going to have the Stripe price ID that we are going to create within the Stripe dashboard. And once the user is going to click on getting started, they're going to redirect him on Stripe. And then once the user pay $15, Stripe is going to make a webhook request to our app in order to notify that the user paid. Now let's go ahead and create our pricing within the Stripe dashboard. In order to create our pricing model, we are going to move within the product catalog menu, and then you're going to click add product, and the name of our product is going to be money app. And then we're going to say provide a little description. You're going to say finance app, and then for the price here you can see recurring and one-off.
because we got three types of price. We got basic, pro, and lifetime. Here I'm going to pass here $15. That is going to be billed monthly, and then I'm going to click add product. Once done, you're going to see that we just created a product, and I'm going to click on our money app product, and then you can see that we got one price that we already created. And then I'm going to add another price, which is the pro price. And here I'm going to pass here 100, and then I'm going to say it is going to be billed yearly, and I'm going to click on create. Yeah, you're going to see we just created our second price. Now we are going to create our last price, and we're going to right now it is not going to be a recurring price but a one-off. And then here we're going to pass here 300, which is going to be lifetime access to our app. And then we're going to click again on create price, and then we are going to have all our three price. We got basic, pro, and lifetime. Now we are going to see all our price, guys, and if you take a look to our pricing table, you're going to see that actually it has the name Stripe price ID, the Stripe product ID, but also the price. Now we are going to get into the command prompt, and we are going to create the pricing model by typing PHP artisan make model. Now they generate the model. We are going to add the columns right here. Pass here the first column, it is the name of the price. I'm gonna pass here Stripe ID, but also we are going to pass the Stripe product ID, but also we are going to pass the price. And after that, we are going to migrate our model by typing PHP artisan migrate. We are going to get into the model and specify fillable attributes. We are going to copy all of that, Stripe price ID, but also the Stripe product ID and the price. We are going to seed all our price within our database. We are going to do PHP artisan make seed, and then we're going to say pricing seed, and then type enter. And we're going to go within the database folder. You're going to notice we got a folder, seeders, and we are going to seed all our price. We're going to say use DB, and then here we are going to do DB table. We're going to pass here the name of the table, and then we're going to do pricings, and then we are going to call the insert function. We're going to pass it an array. The first one, it is going to be the name of the price. It is going to be, we're going to pass here, first of all, it is going to be basic. Now we are going to pass here the Stripe price ID, but also we are going to pass the Stripe product ID. I'm going to copy this, and here we're going to pass here the column prod ID, but also the price. Now we're going to get into the Stripe dashboard, and we are going to copy the Stripe product ID, but also the Stripe price ID of each price that we have created. And then I'm gonna get into the Stripe dashboard, and we're gonna copy first the product ID, and then we're gonna pass it the Stripe product ID column. And here the name of our price is basic. Now we need to grab the Stripe price ID. The amount is $15, and then I'm going to copy also the ID. I'm gonna click on this price, and then we're gonna get the price on the top right corner. You can see we got the price. I'm gonna copy it and pass it right here. Now we're gonna copy the second price. The name is Pro. We're gonna pass it right here. We're gonna pass it Pro. Now we're going to copy the Stripe price ID. I'm not getting to the Stripe dashboard, and here I'm going to click on the price, and then we are going to grab the price ID. We're gonna pass it to the price product, to the Stripe price ID column, and I'm going to create a variable table, and then we're gonna store in our instance so that we're gonna be able to get access to it. I'm gonna pass the table, and then every time we need to insert, we're gonna reference the table variable, and then right here we're gonna pass the table like this, and here the amount is 100. I'm gonna copy that and duplicate, and then the name of the last price is lifetime. For the amount is 300, and then I'm gonna get into the Stripe dashboard again, and we are going to here, I'm gonna click on it, and then we're going to copy the price ID again, and then we're gonna assign it to the Stripe price ID like this. Now we are going to run this seeder. I'm gonna get into the database seeder.php class, and here first of all we need to import our pricing seeder. And then here, in order to run this seeder, we're
we're gonna pass it to the run function, and then we're gonna call the call method, and then we're gonna assign it our class. We're gonna pass pricing seeder class. Now we are going to create a test file in order to check if this seeder, if within our pricing table we have data, we have this pricing, we got basic, pro, and lifetime. I'm not getting to the command prompt, and I'm going to type the command php artisan make test pricing feature this, and then I'm type enter, and then you're going to get into within your test folder. You're gonna see we got pricing feature test. The name of our test case, it is going to be test should, we're gonna pass it should pricing table has data. And then here we're gonna, first of all, we are going to run the seeder. We're gonna do this run, and then we're gonna pass it to the seeder method. But also we need to use the refresh database treat. We're gonna pass it right here, and then we're gonna call another function in order to assert if within the pricing table we has data. We're gonna do this. We're gonna pass here database has. We're gonna pass it first the name of the table, which is pricing, and then we're gonna pass it the second parameter is the array. We are going to pass it an array. I'm not getting to the pricing seeder, and right here I'm gonna copy this array. I'm gonna copy all of that, and then I'm going to get into within the pricing feature test, and then we're gonna pass it this array. Now I'm gonna pass it right here, and then I'm going to copy the first array. I'm gonna pass it to our asset database has function. We're gonna duplicate that, and then we're gonna do the same thing for the second price. I'm gonna copy that, and then we're gonna pass our second price. We are going to assert if within this table we got the price with name pro. I'm gonna copy that and pass it right here. But also we need to do the same thing with our last price, which is the lifetime. I'm gonna copy the array, and then we're going to pass it to asset database has. We're gonna copy that, and then we're gonna pass it a second parameter. Now we are done. Now we are going to run our test and see if it is going to pass. And then I'm gonna zoom a little bit, and then we are going to see, you can see right here, guys, yeah, should pricing table has data, the test pass, everything is okay. Alright guys, now we're gonna test if the payment is going to pass. Since we already set up Laravel Sanctum, but also we already did all our price within the pricing table. Now we are going to test if the payment is going to pass. I'm gonna get into the web.php file, and I'm going to import this class right here. You can see I just imported the request class, but also Laravel cacher, the user model, and the auth class. But also I've already defined two routes. The success routes, they're gonna redirect us on the success routes when the payment is going to be succeed. But also if there's a cancellation of the payment, they're going to redirect us on this URL, on this path cancel. Now I'm gonna go to Laravel.com website, and here I'm going to copy these routes right here. And then here you can see for the path, you're gonna pass here checkout. Where there is default, we're gonna pass it the Stripe product ID. I'm not getting to my pricing feature test. And here you can see we got Stripe price ID and Stripe product ID. I'm going to copy that and put it within my web.php file. And then here I'm going to copy the Stripe Pro ID. I'm not pass where there's default Stripe Pro ID. I'm not pass it the Stripe Pro ID right here. But also we got the Stripe price ID. I'm gonna copy that and pass it where there's price basic monthly. And that's it, guys. And here you can see we got trial days and allow promotions code. I'm not commenting these two methods. We are not going to use them. But also we need to specify the success URL. We're gonna pass here success, and the cancel URL. We're gonna pass here cancel like this. If we go again to Laravel.com website, you're going to see these sections: webhooks and CSRF protection. We need to bypass Laravel's CSRF protection. We are going to copy this middleware. We're going to add this code under the with middleware function, and then we're gonna get into the app.php file, and then we're gonna paste this code under the with middleware function, and then so that we can bypass Laravel CSRF protection. And after that, guys, you need to type this command within your command prompt: swap listen forward to your Laravel base URL, and then /swap/webhook. Copy this within your command prompt in order to listen to swap event. If you don't do that, the payment, it is not going to pass. And then I'm gonna copy this code first of all, and I'm gonna get into the browser and tap here checkout, and then we're gonna see what we're gonna get. Let me show you. You can see right now we got this strap form right here. I'm going to choose right here. I'm going to select another payment. I'm gonna click right here and then add new payment. And then for the car information, you're going to provide this number for testing purpose. And here you're gonna pass here the month. You're gonna pass here even 12/26. This is the year. And the car validation code here, I'm gonna pass 123. And then here's my name, Ben. And then I'm gonna click subscribe. And then you're gonna see, you can see right here, subscribe to Money app. And then right here, you got $15 per month. And then you're gonna see, we're gonna get into the command prompt and see what we get. Yeah, you can see Stripe is sending a request within our app to notify us that the user paid. We are listening to Stripe events and the payment passed successfully. Now, how can we know that? You can see right now the redirects us on success euro. We got the message success payment. And if we get into within our database, you can see we got the table subscriptions. And then I'm going to click on it. And then right here, guys, you're gonna see here we got a new record within our database. Yeah, you can see the user ID, product ID, but also right here you can see everything is working pretty well. Yeah, everything is working pretty well, really. And then we're gonna try to make another payment. Right now, you can see right here, I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna get into the web.php file. And here, guys, you can see right here, we pass here the price ID of the basic plan. I'm gonna get into this file right here, pricing feature test. You can see right here, we just use the strap price ID of the basic plan. Yeah, now I'm going to select the strap ID of the pro plan. I'm gonna select this ID right here, and then I'm gonna go within the web.php, and then I'm gonna pass it right here. And then I'm gonna get into again within the browser. I'm gonna pass here again checkout and click enter. Yeah, they redirect us on Stripe, and then here we're going to, I can pass here 4242 for the car. I can pass here 12/26 or 27 for the year, and 123. And here, guys, you can erase subscribe to Money app. Right now they pass here 100. And then I'm gonna click again subscribe, and then we're going to see, we're gonna get into the command prompt, and then you're going to see they're gonna make a request to our app. You can see, and that's pretty much it, guys. Everything is working, the payment is working. But also, guys, try to log in a given user. You can see within my users table, I got a user with this email, and then I just logged in him. And here, if it doesn't do that, the request user, it is going to be none, and the payment won't pass. Try to log in a user, and then you're going to check. Yeah, let's move on. Alright, guys, as we already finished testing the payment and it is passed successfully, now we're going to working on another endpoint, get pricings. We're going to return a list of created pricing that we get within the pricing table. I'm gonna get into first within the pricing feature test, and I'm going to create a test. Test should return correct pricing columns. And I'm going to get into the income feature test. Right here you can see we got test should get incomes. And I'm going to copy this logic right here, and I'm going to put it within pricing feature test right here, and then I'm going to modify the endpoint. Right here I'm gonna pass here pricings. Yeah, and then I'm gonna get into the models folder. Right here you can see we got pricings. I'm going to select these columns, and I'm going to pass it within our pricing feature test. I'm gonna pass it to asset equals. These are columns that we need our endpoint to return. We need that our endpoint return the name, the strap price ID, the strap price ID, but also the price. Now here, if we run our test, it is going to fail. Now I'm gonna get into, first of all, I'm going to create a controller by typing PHP artisan controller, pricing folder, pricing controller. I'm gonna tap enter. And then here, guys, I'm gonna get into the controllers folder. You can see right here, we got a new folder right here, pricing controller. I'm gonna get into first within the income controller, and I'm going to copy this code right here and put it within the pricing, but also we need to import the model. I'm gonna get in again, and I'm going to copy right here, this line right here, and then we're gonna put it right here. Now we need to import the model is pricing, and then we're gonna pass here pricing, and then we are going to select
columns. And again, I'm going to go back within the processing model, and I'm going to select these columns again and put it within the processing control. I'm going to pass it to the select function. And then here we're going to change the name of our function. We're going to say get pricings, and then we're going to get into the API.php file in order to hit these methods. Right here, I'm going to copy this get endpoint right here. I'm gonna copy it, and then we're gonna pass here the name of our method is get pricings, and here we're going to pass here pricing controller, yeah, like this. And then here we're gonna pass here pricings. Now we are going to run our test. You can see right here we already imported the pricing controller. Now I'm gonna get into the command prompt and run our test to see if it is going to pass. Our test is running, and then you can see, let us see if our test it is going to pass. And boom, you can see that our test passed here. You can see should returns correct pricing columns. Our test passed successfully. Alright guys, now we're gonna work on the pricing feature model, and it is the price ID but also the name column. Now I'm gonna get into the command prompt in order to create the pricing feature model. You're gonna type this command php artisan make model pricing feature -m and then tap enter. But also we are going to create the seed for our pricing feature model. You're gonna type php artisan make seed pricing feature seed, and then you're gonna tap enter. Now we're gonna get into the models folder, and here we are going to define the relationship. You can see first of all we need to define fillable columns. We got the name but also the price ID. And if we get into within the pricing model, we are going to define the relationship. Price has so many pricing features, and then we're gonna create a function, public function pricing features, and then here we're gonna call the function has many, and then we're gonna pass in the pricing feature model. Gonna pass it the price ID like this. Now we're gonna get into the migration folder, and we are going to define columns for our pricing features. The first column is the name, and then we're gonna define also the foreign key, which is the second column, and then we're gonna pass here the price ID like this. Now we're gonna get into the seeds folder. You can see right here we got pricing feature seed, and what I'm gonna do right here, I'm going to create some features for each price. First of all, we need to import the DB class, and I'm gonna get into my Sublime text, and then I'm gonna copy some code and put it within the run function. You can see right here we got three price: basic, pro, and lifetime. For the basic price, we're gonna say it is gonna have two features: basic expense tracking but also basic reporting. For the pro price, it is gonna take three features: automated transaction but also advanced budgeting. And for the lifetime, it is gonna take two features. Here you can see the name lifetime access but also priority supports. Now we're gonna get into the database seeder and import the pricing feature seeder, but also we need to import the pricing seed and of seed. And here I'm going to pass here the pricing feature seed to this array. Now we're gonna go ahead and get into the pricing controller, and here we're gonna modify this query, and then we're gonna pass here data, and then we are going to retrieve price with pricing features. And here I'm gonna pass here pricing model, and then I'm gonna pass here with function, and then I'm going to pass the name of the relationship. I'm gonna get into the pricing model, and here you can see this is the name of the relationship. We're gonna copy the name of this function, pricing features, and then we're gonna go back within the pricing controller, and we're gonna pass it to the with function, and then we're gonna pass here get like this. And then we're going to go ahead and get into the command prompt, and here we are going to type, first of all we're gonna type php artisan migrate refresh like this, guys. And then here we are going to see data into our tables. I'm gonna type php artisan dbc, and then here you can see we just see data. If we get into within phpMyAdmin, you can see within the pricing table we got the basic, pro, and lifetime. If I type again php artisan dbc, we're gonna add repetition. By the way, we are getting errors because of duplication. You can see duplicate entry. And if I get into the database again, I tap here pricings, And then you can see we got again basic pro lifetime and basic pro lifetime. This is repetition. But how can we avoid that? I'm not getting to within the database seed. We are going to create a table that is going to track, that is going to check the seed. We have to make sure we run only once the seed within our database. And here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create another model. And the name of the model, check seed model. I'm going to type PHP artisan make model, and then the name is check seed -m like this, and then tap enter. I'm gonna get into the migrations folder right here, and here I'm gonna specify the column. You're gonna pass here the name, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get into the database seeder. And here within the database seeder, I'm going to insert only one record within this table. If within this table we got data, we are not going to run our seed again. Now I'm gonna import the DB class here, and then here I'm going to try to check if within the check seed table we got data. And here I'm gonna create a variable check seed and then DB table, and here we're gonna pass here the name of the table, check seeds, and then we're gonna try to check if the check seeds we got data, and then here count. I'm gonna do this check seeds variable, and here we're gonna call the count function, and if is equal to 0, we are going to run our seed. And I'm gonna cut our seed and pass it within the if statement like this. And then we're gonna insert data within the check seed table. I'm gonna copy the variable, and then we're gonna do insert, and then here we're gonna pass it name, and here we're gonna pass here the value is seed like this, and then like this, guys. Now we're gonna go ahead and get into the command prompt and run our seed again. I'm gonna type first of all PHP artisan migrate, refresh. Yeah, I'm gonna clean up our database, and then here we're gonna type PHP artisan DB seed like this. We're gonna run our seed. Yeah, we just run our seed within the processing table of client seed. And then here I'm gonna get into my SQL database, within my SQL database via the command line, and here I'm gonna do select star from pricing, and then here you can see we already see this table. We got basic, pro, and lifetime. If I try again to run our seed by typing PHP artisan DB seed, you can see we're getting a message info seeding database. And you can see that we don't run our seed again. It doesn't add repetition within database. If I run this select query, you can see that we don't have duplicate data within the pricing table. I'm gonna open a window, and then here we are going to pass here API pricings, and then tap enter to see if we are going to get data. And then yeah, you can see we are getting an error. Okay, right here we need to pass here return statement, and we are going to get data. Right here I'm gonna pass here, I'm gonna refresh again, and then you can see we are getting right now pricing with pricing features. Yeah, you can see right here we got basic, but also the pricing features of the basic price. Yeah. Now guys, if you run our test again, you're gonna see that our test it is going to fail. Here you can see I'm gonna type PHP artisan test, and here we're gonna have one failing test case. And here you're gonna see right here should returns correct pricing columns. This test case failed. And what I'm going to do, I'm gonna make it pass. I'm gonna get into within my text editor. And right here you can see this is the test case should returns correct pricing columns. And here you can see that our API, that our endpoints return a data array. And we have right here the price, and within the price object we have another array, which is the pricing features. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to add also these keys. And here, first of all, I need to copy this column right here, and I'm gonna copy all of that, and I'm gonna paste it in right here. And here I'm going to create another, I'm gonna rename the keys. Right here I'm gonna pass here price keys, and then here I'm going to copy that, and then I'm gonna say pricing features keys like this. And then here I'm going to select the pricing features. I'm gonna pass it right here. It is an array, and then I'm pass it right here. And here we are going to add right here, we're gonna assert right here, we're gonna assert the pricing keys, but also the pricing feature keys.
I'm gonna pass here the ID, but also I need to pass created at and updated at column. I'm gonna pass it right here, created at, but also I'm gonna pass here updated at like this. And here for the key, I'm gonna do this to make things clean. And here for the key, I'm gonna pass here price keys. I'm gonna copy this price keys. I'm gonna pass it right here, but also I'm gonna copy this assertion, and I'm gonna do for our pricing feature keys. I'm gonna copy this and then pass it right here, but also right here you got the price ID, and then here we got created it and updated it. I'm gonna get rid of these columns like this, guys. Now here I'm gonna get into again the command prompt, and I'm going to run our test again. And here we should pass here this here. We should select the first index. You can see if you get into the browser, you can see right here pricing features is an array, and then we are going to select only the first index. And here what I'm going to do, first of all, right here we need to run another seed. Right here you can see we just run one seed, pricing seed. Now we're gonna add another seed right here. I'm not getting to within the pricing feature seed. I'm not copy that and import it within the pricing feature test. I'm not getting, and I'm gonna pass it right here, and then we're gonna run it. I'm gonna copy the pricing feature, and then we're gonna pass it to the core function. And right here we are going to pass here this. We're gonna pass here an array, and then we're gonna pass the pricing seed, but also the second pricing feature seed class like this. Now I'm gonna get into the command prompt and try to see if our test it is going to pass. Again, I'm gonna type php artisan test, and then you're gonna see that our test it is going to pass. And then right here you can see unfortunately we are getting an error, and we have to add another key, which is the pricing features. And then I'm gonna pass here pricing feature, and that is the benefit of writing tests, but because we have to make sure that everything is working pretty well, everything is working as expected. And again, I'm gonna try to run again the test. I'm gonna pass here php artisan test again, and then you're gonna see right here that if the test fell again. And here, guys, you can see right here I'm gonna get into the browser here. I'm gonna copy that, and then I'm gonna pass it right here. And then here you can see that the price key, I'm gonna zoom a little bit. You can see right here, if we count 0 1 2 3 4, the price key is at the 4th position. I'm gonna copy it and pass it to the 4th position. 1 2 3 4. Yeah, we pass the price to the 3rd position. We should pass it to the 4th position, and that's why our test is failing. And then we're gonna pass it to the 4th position, and here we're gonna remove that. And again, I'm gonna try to run our test and see if it is going to pass. And here I'm gonna type php artisan test again and see if our test it is going to pass. And there we go, guys. You can see that our test passed. Yeah, and that is the benefit. You should write tests in order to create a robust application. And that's pretty much it, guys, for the first parts. And I see you in the next video where we're gonna start building the front end and continue working as a full stack developer. We're gonna work from the back end to the front end, from the front end to the back end. And I see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.